The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for more than 10,000 years. They had defeated warrior empires. They had crushed machine civilizations. They had erased entire species from history. To them, war was not chaos. War was routine. So when they discovered a small blue planet called Earth, they were not impressed. The species called humans was young, very young. They fought each other often. Their world was divided into many nations. Their technology was still growing. The Council did not see a threat. They saw resources. Earth had rich oceans, rare metals, and strong life forms. It was perfect for control. And the Council always gave the same offer. Submit peacefully. Join the Council. Give your military control and advanced research access, or face removal. The message was sent to Earth. It was cold, formal, final, across the planet. Leaders gathered in secret meetings. Scientists studied the alien ships in orbit. Military commanders waited for orders. The alien fleet above Earth was massive. Hundreds of ships, weapons powerful enough to burn continents. Many people on Earth were afraid. Some leaders suggested surrender. Some suggested hiding. Some suggested fighting. But something strange happened. For the first time in modern history, the nations of Earth agreed on one thing. They would not kneel. 3 days later, the Galactic Council received a reply. It was short, only 4 words. Humanity does not kneel. The council chamber went silent. High Commander Varix stared at the screen. He had expected fear. He had expected begging. He had not expected defiance. A low-level species had just rejected the most powerful force in the galaxy. Varix felt insulted. He gave a simple order. Demonstrate consequence. The fleet moved, but instead of attacking Earth directly, they targeted a human colony on the edge of the solar system, a mining world near Saturn. Small population, weak defense. The attack was fast. Orbital strikes hit cities. Defense satellites were destroyed. Communication towers burned. From space, the colony looked like a dying star. The council watched carefully. Now they thought humanity would break. Now they would beg. But no surrender message came. No emergency broadcast. Only silence. Varix frowned. Scan for survivors, he ordered. There were survivors. But something was wrong. Human ships were not retreating. They were not trying to escape. They were circling the battlefield, recording everything, watching. The alien officers laughed. Primitive species, one said. They do not understand defeat. But Varix felt uneasy. Humans had not asked for mercy. They had not screamed. They had not threatened. They had simply watched. 3 days passed. The alien fleet remained near Saturn, securing the area. Then it happened. Without warning, the alien command ship lost contact with one of its cruisers. Then another. Then 5 more. Ships disappeared from sensors. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Gone. The fleet spread out. They searched the asteroid belt. Nothing. No wreckage. No energy readings. No escape pods. Then a loud explosion shook space. One of the largest alien warships split in half. No enemy ship was visible. Panic spread through the fleet. Enemy contact? Unknown signal detected. Shields failing. But there was no clear target. It was like space itself had turned against them. Stealth objects moved between the stars. Small, fast, silent. Alien weapons fired wildly into empty darkness. Another cruiser vanished. Then another. Within hours, half the fleet was gone. The remaining ships retreated in confusion. They jumped to faster-than-light speed and escaped. The survivors carried one terrifying truth back to the council. The humans had changed. When Varix reviewed the battle logs, he saw something disturbing. The humans had studied every alien move during the colony attack. They had analyzed weapon frequency, shield strength, communication patterns. And then they had built a counter. In 3 days. 3 days. The council chamber filled with tension. How is that possible? One elder asked. No species adapts that fast. But Varix knew the answer. Humans were not like other species. They had survived countless wars on their own world. They had fought each other for thousands of years. Every conflict had made them smarter, stronger. War was not new to them. War was familiar. As the council argued, a new transmission arrived from Earth. All voices stopped. The message opened automatically. A human representative appeared on screen. Calm face, steady eyes, no fear. Behind him was the flag of Earth. He spoke slowly. You attacked our colony. His voice did not shake. You killed our people. The alien elders expected anger. Instead, they heard something worse. Control. We did not start this war, the human said, but we will finish it. The screen flickered. Then the final line appeared in clear translation. Congratulations. You just started a war with humanity. Silence filled the chamber. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council felt something they had not felt in centuries. Uncertainty. Not because humans were the strongest, not because they had the biggest fleet, but because they had shown something rare. They had been attacked. They had suffered loss. And instead of breaking, they had adapted. Varix looked at the star map. Human ships were moving, not retreating, advancing, slowly, carefully, like predators learning the shape of the forest. And deep inside, Varix understood something too late. The Council had not attacked a weak species. They had united a divided one. And there was nothing more dangerous in the galaxy than a united humanity. The Galactic Council had made a mistake, but they did not understand how big that mistake was. Across the galaxy, news of the lost fleet began to spread. Entire warships gone. No clear enemy. No clear weapon. Other alien species began to whisper. How did the humans do this? Inside the council chamber, High Commander Varix stood before a massive holographic display of Earth. The planet rotated slowly. Blue oceans, white clouds, green land. It looked peaceful. It looked harmless. But Varix no longer believed that. Begin full analysis, he ordered. Alien scientists started studying human history. What they found disturbed them. Humans were not peaceful by nature. They were survivors. Their world had tried to kill them many times. Ice ages had covered their planet in snow. Volcanoes had darkened their skies. Deadly diseases had wiped out millions. And still they survived. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was this. Most of humanity's greatest disasters were caused by humans themselves. They had fought world wars. They had built weapons powerful enough to destroy their own planet. They had divided themselves by race, belief, and land. And yet, they had rebuilt every time. Each war had made them stronger. Each failure had made them smarter. Each near extinction had forced them to improve. The alien scholars began to understand something important. Humanity did not fear disaster. They adapted to it. Meanwhile, on Earth, something even more dangerous was happening. Old enemies were shaking hands. Nations that had competed for centuries were now sharing military data. Secret research labs were opened. Advanced weapons that had never been used were now activated. Factories ran day and night. Space stations increased production. Human news networks stopped arguing about politics. They showed one message only. Humanity stands together. The alien council watched in silence. One elder spoke softly. We have united them. That was the true danger. Before the attack, Earth had been divided. After the attack, Earth had one purpose: survival. And humans were very good at surviving. 3 weeks after the colony attack, long-range sensors detected something unexpected. Human ships were leaving the solar system. Not many. Small fleets. Fast ships. They were not attacking. They were scouting, learning alien space routes, mapping supply lines. The Council sent spies to monitor Earth's communication systems. They intercepted a classified human military meeting. On the screen, human leaders stood around a digital star map. There was no panic in their voices, only calm focus. One human general spoke. We do not match their numbers. Another replied. Then we don't fight their numbers. They were planning something different. Humans did not think like other species. Aliens believed in overwhelming power. Humans believed in strategy. Weeks passed. Then the first alien supply convoy disappeared. It was far from Earth, deep in Council territory. No distress signal. No battle report. Just silence. Then another convoy vanished. Then a fuel depot exploded near a distant star system. The council became nervous. These were not large attacks. They were precise, surgical. Someone was cutting their veins slowly. High Commander Varix felt pressure rising. "How are they reaching our territory?" he demanded. The answer shocked him. The humans had modified alien jump drives. From the destroyed fleet near Saturn, they had recovered technology. They had studied it, improved it, and now they were using it better than the creators. "That is impossible," one alien engineer whispered. "No species adapts this fast." But humans did, because humans had always learned through conflict. War was their harsh teacher, and they were excellent students. Back on Earth, something else changed. Human civilians were not crying in fear. They were volunteering. Engineers joined defense programs. Farmers increased food production. Teachers explained the situation honestly to children. There was fear, but it was controlled. Focus. Humanity was not fighting for pride. They were fighting for their home. And when humans fought for home, they did not stop. The council decided to end it quickly. They gathered a full invasion fleet, 10 times larger than the first one. This time, no small demonstration. This time, total destruction. As the fleet prepared to move toward Earth, Varix felt uneasy again. He replayed the human message. "Congratulations. You just started a war with humanity." It sounded less like a threat now, and more like a promise. The invasion fleet entered faster than light travel. Across space, human long-range sensors detected the energy signature. On Earth, alarm sounded, but there was no chaos. Command centers activated smoothly. Defense systems powered up. Hidden weapons came online. One human commander looked at the incoming fleet projection. She spoke calmly. "Phase 2 begins." Far beyond Earth, in deep space, something moved. Thousands of small objects drifted silently between planets. They looked like space debris. They were not. They were waiting. The alien fleet did not know it yet, but they were flying into a trap designed not in panic, but in patience. The council believed they were attacking a young species. They believed humans were emotional, weak, easy to frighten. They did not understand the truth. Humans were dangerous not because they loved war, but because they had survived it so many times. They had survived themselves. And any species that can survive itself is not easy to destroy. As a massive alien fleet approached the edge of the solar system, one final transmission left Earth. It was not sent to the Council. It was sent to every human ship. The message was simple: protect home. Across space, human captains repeated the words. And in that moment, the galaxy was about to learn something important. Humanity did not start wars often, but when forced into one, they finished them. The alien invasion fleet moved like a wall of metal across space. Thousands of ships, heavy destroyers, carrier vessels, weapon platforms large enough to crack moons. From a distance, they looked unstoppable. Inside the command ship, High Commander Varix watched the human solar system appear on the main screen. "End this," he said calmly. The fleet entered the outer edge of the system. Everything looked quiet, too quiet. No human ships rushed forward. No defensive line formed. Only distant planets moving in silence. Varix felt that same uneasy feeling again. "Scan for mines," he ordered. The scans returned clean. Nothing detected. The fleet moved deeper. They passed Neptune. Still nothing. They passed Uranus. Silence. Alien officers began to relax. "Humans are afraid," one said. "They hide near their home world." Varix did not answer. He had studied human history carefully. Humans did not hide. They prepared. As the fleet approached Saturn's orbit, something strange appeared on sensors. Thousands of small objects, floating, cold, inactive. "Space debris?" an officer asked. The objects were irregular, different shapes, some large, some small. They drifted naturally between asteroids. The alien fleet adjusted course slightly and continued forward. Then, without warning, every object activated at once. Energy signatures exploded across the sensor grid. The debris was not debris. It was a minefield. Massive explosions ripped through the front line of alien ships. Shockwaves slammed into shields. Communication signals jammed instantly. Shields up. Return fire. Find the source. But there was no single source. The mines were smart. They waited until the fleet was fully inside the field. Then they struck together. Dozens of alien cruisers shattered. Metal twisted. Hull fragments burned like falling stars. But the alien fleet was large. They pushed forward, sacrificing ships to clear a path. Varix growled, "Advance! Do not stop." The fleet tightened formation and continued toward Mars. Then Phase 2 began. From behind the asteroid belt, human ships appeared. They were smaller than alien destroyers. Faster, sharper. They did not fly in straight lines. They moved in swarms, like hunting animals. Human railguns fired long silver streaks across space. Missiles curved around shields and struck weak points. Alien ships fired back with heavy plasma cannons. Space lit up with blue and red explosions. For the first time, the aliens saw human captains in action. They did not fight with pride. They fought with focus. If a human ship was damaged, it did not retreat. It rammed into larger alien vessels. If outnumbered, they split apart and attacked from multiple angles. Alien officers became frustrated. Humans do not follow engagement protocol. Humans do not honor formation. Of course they did not. Humans followed one rule only: win. As the battle grew larger, something else happened. Mars, the red planet, suddenly flashed with light. The entire surface shifted. Mountains opened. Plates moved. The planet itself was a weapon. Hidden cannons fired from beneath the ground. Mass driver systems launched metal projectiles at impossible speeds. Each impact destroyed an alien ship completely. The invasion fleet began losing numbers quickly, but they still had superior firepower. Varix made a harsh decision. Target Earth directly. Ignore the rest. If they destroyed Earth, the war would end. The fleet formed a spearhead and pushed through the chaos. Human ships tried to slow them, but alien dreadnoughts cleared a path. Then Earth appeared on the main screen. Blue, alive, protected by a thin shield grid. Alien weapons charged. Just as they prepared to fire, the sun changed. A ripple of energy spread across its surface. Human scientists had prepared something unthinkable. Solar defense satellites activated together. They redirected focused solar flares toward the alien fleet. Streams of burning radiation hit ships from behind. Shields overloaded instantly. Several massive alien dreadnoughts exploded in seconds. The fleet was trapped. Minefields behind them. Human swarms around them. Planetary cannons ahead. Solar fire from behind. For the first time, the invasion fleet understood. This was not a desperate defense. This was planned. Months of preparation. Careful strategy. The humans had not waited for invasion. They had invited it. Inside the alien command ship, panic spread. "Commander, we are surrounded. Energy levels dropping. Fleet losses exceeding 40%. Varix stared at the tactical map. Humans were predicting their movements. Every escape route had resistance waiting. He finally understood the pattern. Humans were not fighting for territory. They were draining strength, cutting numbers, wearing them down. The fleet attempted emergency retreat, but even retreat was difficult. Human stealth ships attacked engines. Warp drives failed across multiple vessels. As hours passed, the once mighty invasion fleet was reduced to scattered survivors. Burning wreckage drifted between planets. Finally, Varix ordered full withdrawal. The remaining ships jumped to faster-than-light speed. Silence returned to the solar system. Human ships stopped firing. They did not chase. They watched, recording everything again. On Earth, people waited in fear during the battle. Then confirmation came. The invasion fleet was retreating. Cheers filled cities. But there was no celebration from military command. Only quiet determination. Because the war was not over. In the Galactic Council chamber, the surviving ships transmitted their reports. Heavy losses, unexpected planetary weapons, star-based defense systems, unpredictable tactics. One elder spoke with shaking voice. They turned their entire system into a fortress. Varric stood silent. He replayed the human message once more. Congratulations. You just started a war with humanity. He finally understood. The humans had not responded in anger. They had responded in preparation. And the worst part? They were still holding back, because they had only defended so far. They had not yet attacked. And now, they knew exactly how the Council fought. After the failed invasion, the solar system became quiet. Too quiet. Burned alien ships still drifted between Mars and Jupiter. Broken metal floated in silence. Human recovery teams moved carefully through the wreckage, collecting technology. They did not celebrate. They studied. On Earth, world leaders gathered again. This time, they were not discussing survival. They were discussing response. The alien fleet had retreated, but everyone knew something important. The Council would return, unless humanity made sure they could not. In orbit above Earth, a large command station watched the stars. Inside it, human commanders stood before a massive map of alien territory. One admiral spoke calmly. They tested us. Another nodded. Now we test them. The room was silent. This decision would change everything. Humanity had defended its home. Now it would leave it. Small fleets were prepared. Not giant armadas. Not overwhelming numbers. Fast ships. Stealth ships. Long-range strike craft. Humans did not plan to conquer alien space. They planned to make it uncomfortable. The first strike came without warning. Deep inside Council territory, an alien shipyard orbited a dying star. It built destroyers for the next invasion. One night cycle. Power systems glitched. Security sensors failed for 6 seconds. When systems came back online, 3 human ships were already inside the perimeter. They moved quickly. Explosives planted. Data stolen. Before alarms could sound fully, the human ships jumped away. Seconds later, the shipyard exploded. Across the galaxy, Council officers stare at reports in disbelief. How did they reach that system? It is 5 jumps in their territory. No one had an answer, but Varric knew. Humans were no longer reacting. They were hunting. Over the next weeks, more strikes happened. Fuel depots destroyed. Communication relays hacked. Supply convoys disappeared. Not massive battles. Precise wounds. The Council tried to respond. They increased patrols. They tightened security. But humans never attacked the same way twice. Sometimes they appeared as small raiding parties. Sometimes they used captured alien ships as disguise. Sometimes they sent drones that looked like normal cargo. Alien commanders grew frustrated. Humans do not fight openly. Humans avoid honorable battle. Yes, because humans were not fighting for honor. They were fighting to win. Back on Earth, news of the counterattacks spread slowly. Governments did not reveal everything, but people understood one thing. Humanity was no longer afraid. Factories still worked day and night, but now they produced more advanced designs. Weapons improved weekly. New engines allowed faster jumps. Artificial intelligence systems analyzed alien behavior patterns. Human soldiers trained in zero-gravity combat nonstop. Children in schools were taught space navigation basics. This war was not temporary. It was becoming part of human identity. Meanwhile, inside the Galactic Council chamber, tension grew heavy. Other alien species were watching. The Council had always been strong. Now it looked vulnerable. A smaller, younger species was damaging them repeatedly. One elder spoke carefully. If this continues, our authority will weaken. Varric stood before them. We underestimated humanity, he admitted. That sentence alone shocked the chamber. For thousands of years, the Council had never admitted weakness. But the truth was clear. Humans were different. They did not fear long wars. They adapted faster than expected. And worst of all, they were unpredictable. Another human strike shocked the Council even more. Instead of attacking military targets, humans sent a message directly into the Council network. It bypassed security. It appeared on every major screen at once. The same human representative from before appeared again. Calm. Controlled. We warned you, he said. We did not want this war. Behind him, images appeared. destroyed human colony, alien ships attacking, burned cities. Then new images appeared, destroyed alien shipyards, disabled warships, falling debris. We will not attack civilians, the human continued. We will not erase your worlds, but we will remove your ability to threaten ours. The message ended. No threats, no shouting, just certainty. In private chambers, alien leaders began to feel something new. Fear of loss, not of their lives, but of control, because humans were not trying to destroy the council completely. They were weakening it slowly, turning allies into doubters, turning strong leaders into nervous ones. Across several alien systems, smaller species began asking questions. If humans can resist the council, what else is possible? That was the true danger, not the explosions, not the destroyed fleets. The idea that the council could be challenged. Back in human command, analysts studied alien reaction patterns. They are spreading their forces thin, one officer observed. They are defending everything at once. That was exactly what humans wanted, because when an enemy tries to protect everything, they protect nothing well. Another strike force prepared to jump. This one targeted a major weapons research facility. Before launch, a young human pilot looked at Earth one last time through the station window. Blue oceans, bright clouds. Home, she whispered quietly, for Earth. Across the station, thousands of voices said the same words. Not out of anger, out of duty. The human fleet jumped into alien space again. And somewhere inside the council chamber, Varix finally understood something fully. This war would not end with a single battle. It would not end with fear. It would end only when one side could no longer continue. And humanity had proven something terrifying. They could continue. For a very long time. The war had spread across 12 star systems. Burning ships floated in silence. Broken stations drifted like dead cities. Planets that once shined with trade, and life now stood under military rule. The alien coalition had believed this war would be quick. They thought humanity would panic. They thought Earth would beg. They were wrong. Now the coalition high council gathered in emergency session. Tall crystal pillars filled the chamber. Blue light shimmered across the curved walls. The oldest species of the galaxy sat in floating seats of silver metal. Their skin shifted in color with their emotions, and right now they glowed with fear. On the center screen was one word, Earth. High Commander Virex of the Coalition stood tall. His voice was calm, but his eyes were not. Human fleets have broken through our third defensive ring, he said. They destroyed Shipyard Delta. They captured our weapons research station. They are now within striking distance of our core worlds. A wave of shock moved through the chamber. An elder council member spoke. Impossible. Their numbers were small. Virex answered quietly. They adapt. The screen changed. Footage appeared of human ships during battle. When coalition plasma cannons increased power, human ships changed formation. When gravity mines were deployed, humans used captured alien tech to turn them against their owners. When electronic warfare signals jammed communications, human soldiers switched to old systems, hard wires, direct signals, even light codes. They learned during battle. Virex said, every loss makes them stronger. Silence followed. Another council member asked, what do they want? Virex did not hesitate. They want us to stop. Far away, inside Earth's flagship Resolute Dawn, Admiral Elias Ward stood before his officers. The command deck was filled with tension, but not fear. Humans were tired. Many ships were damaged. Casualty reports were heavy, but their eyes still burned. They hit our colonies first, Ward said. They attacked without warning. They called us primitive. They thought we would break. He looked at the star map floating in the center of the room. We don't break. Captain Mara Iqbal stepped forward. Sir, our scouts report something unusual. Ward turned. Speak. The coalition is pulling ships back from outer systems. They're building a heavy defense around their capital world. Ward studied the map. They're scared, he said softly. Mara nodded. Yes, sir. Another officer added. But their capital is heavily protected. Orbital cannons. planetary shields, millions of civilians. The room grew quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. A full attack could end the war, but it would cost everything. Ward folded his hands behind his back. "Prepare secure transmission," he said. Minutes later, across the galaxy, the Coalition High Council received a direct human signal. The chamber froze. No encryption barriers. No tricks. Just a clear message. The hologram of Admiral Ward appeared. He stood straight, his uniform simple. No medals displayed. No weapons visible. "We did not want this war," Ward began. His voice was steady. "You attacked our colonies. You killed civilians. You believed we were weak." Several council members shifted uncomfortably. Ward continued. "You were wrong." Images appeared behind him. Not of burning alien ships. Not of destruction. But of human cities being rebuilt. Colonists repairing farms. Children returning to school. Medical ships helping wounded alien prisoners. "You thought strength meant domination," Ward said. "You thought fear would control us." He paused. "Humanity does not fight because we enjoy war. We fight because we protect our own." The council listened carefully. Ward's eyes hardened slightly. "We now have the ability to strike your capital. We can break your shields. We can end your command structure." A ripple of fear crossed the chamber. Ward leaned forward slightly. "But we will not attack civilians." The chamber went silent. "We will not become what you believe we were." Ward said, "We draw a line. We defend. We retaliate against military targets. But we do not destroy worlds to prove a point." Virex narrowed his eyes. "Is this a threat?" Ward answered calmly. "No, it is a choice." He gestured to the star map. "Withdraw your fleets from human space. Sign a ceasefire. End the aggression." "And if we refuse?" one council elder asked. Ward's voice became cold. "Then we remove your ability to wage war. Shipyards, weapons labs, military fleets." One by one, the message ended. The council chamber was filled with uneasy silence. For the first time in their long history, the coalition understood something new. Humans were dangerous, not because they were cruel, but because they had limits. And they would defend those limits with everything they had. Virex stood still for a long moment. "They could have attacked," one council member whispered. "Yes," Virex replied, "and they didn't." Across space, Admiral Ward remained on the command deck. Captain Mara spoke quietly. "Do you think they'll agree?" Ward watched the distant stars. "I don't know," he said, "but they just learned something important." "What's that, sir?" Ward's jaw tightened. "That humanity fights hard, but we choose who we become." Outside the viewport, the human fleet held position, weapons ready, shields active, waiting. The galaxy held its breath, because now the coalition had to decide. Continue a war they could no longer win, or accept a truth they never expected. They had started a war with humanity, and humanity was still standing. The Coalition High Council did not sleep. For 3 cycles they argued, some demanded total war. "Humans are dangerous," one general said. "If we show weakness now, they will control the galaxy." Others were not so sure. "They had the chance to destroy our capital," an elder replied. "They did not." Fear and pride battled inside the chamber. Commander Virex stood in silence for most of the debate. He replayed Admiral Ward's message again and again in his mind. "We draw a line." No species had ever spoken like that. Most civilizations, once given power, used it fully. They crushed enemies. They erased threats. They ruled through fear. Humans had done something different. They had shown strength, then restraint. That confused the coalition more than any weapon. Finally, Virex raised his hand. The chamber quieted. "We began this war because we believed humanity would one day threaten us," he said. "Instead, we have created the very threat we feared." He stepped toward the central display. Images appeared. Destroyed coalition fleets, captured shipyards, human prisoners being treated in medical bays. "They fight fiercely," Virex continued, "but they do not slaughter. They rebuild even while at war." He looked around at the elders. If we continue, we may lose everything. A younger council member hissed. So we surrender? Virex's voice hardened. No, we choose survival. The room fell silent. Hours later, a transmission was sent. Across space, inside the Resolute Dawn, alarm signaled an incoming priority message. Admiral Ward stood straight as the coalition symbol appeared. Commander Virex's hologram formed in front of him. The alien leader looked tired. We accept your terms, Virex said. No dramatic music. No threats. Just simple words. We will withdraw from human territory. We will dismantle forward military bases. We request negotiations for a lasting peace. The command deck remained silent for several seconds. Captain Mara looked at Ward carefully. Ward nodded once. Transmission received, he replied. Humanity agrees to ceasefire upon verified withdrawal. The war was not ended with explosions. It ended with a decision. Over the next weeks, coalition fleets slowly retreated. Human scouts confirmed each movement. Shipyards once aimed at Earth powered down. The galaxy watched in disbelief. The primitive species had forced the most powerful alliance in history to step back. But humanity did not celebrate wildly. There were no victory parades across the stars. Instead, human ships helped repair damaged trade lanes. Medical teams were sent to neutral systems affected by the war. Even some coalition border worlds received food shipments after supply chains collapsed. The message was clear. Humanity had not fought to conquer. They had fought to defend. Months later, representatives from both sides met on a neutral station orbiting a quiet blue star. The station had no weapons, only long glass windows showing the peaceful glow of space. Admiral Ward entered the chamber in a simple uniform. Commander Virex entered from the opposite side. For a long moment, they simply looked at one another. You could have destroyed us, Virex said. Ward answered calmly, yes. Why didn't you? Ward took a breath. Because fear is not a foundation for peace. Virex considered that. In our history, the alien commander said slowly, mercy is seen as weakness. Ward gave a small smile. In ours, it is strength. Negotiations lasted many days. Borders were redrawn. Neutral zones were established. Trade agreements were slowly discussed. But something deeper had changed. The coalition no longer saw humanity as prey. They saw them as equals. And perhaps something more dangerous. A species that would endure. A species that would adapt. A species that would fight harder the more they were pushed. News of the peace spread through the galaxy. Smaller civilizations began reaching out to Earth, not in fear, but in curiosity. They wanted to understand the species that survived the coalition. They wanted to know the people who refused to cross their own moral line, even when victory was within reach. Years later, historians would record the war as a turning point, not because of destruction, but because of restraint. In the human capital, a memorial was built. It was not large, just a simple stone wall with names of those lost. At the top, a single sentence was carved. We stood, we endured, we chose who we became. Admiral Ward visited the memorial quietly one evening. Captain Mara stood beside him. Do you think they'll ever try again? She asked. Ward looked up at the stars. Maybe, he said honestly. The galaxy is old. Fear doesn't disappear easily. He folded his hands behind his back. But now they know something. Mara waited. Ward's eyes reflected the distant lights of passing ships. They know humanity is not weak. A pause. And they know we don't start wars. He turned slightly. But we finish them. Far beyond Earth, in coalition space, Commander Virex also looked at the stars. He had once believed humanity was a small spark. Now he understood they were something else. Not a raging fire that burned everything, but a control flame, one that warmed their allies, and burned anyone who tried to crush it. The galaxy moved forward. Trade routes reopened. Joint research projects began between former enemies. Trust grew slowly, carefully, because the lesson of the war remained clear. Congratulations. You started a war with humanity, and humanity did not fall. They adapted, they endured, they fought, and in the end, they chose peace.